Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Welcome to the Moms Interrupted podcast.
We're your hosts,
Taylor
and Natasha.
How are you doing this morning?
I want to just put a picture here of what it looked like when I was getting ready this morning because I just had Leah, my daughter, who just turned 1, on the floor pulling every single thing out of the bathroom cabinets. And I was just like, I got to get ready. So
yeah,
go ahead. Like Q-tips everywhere, my contacts all over the floor.
One is when stuff gets really
It's
real.
so busy.
It's busy. They're little busy bodies.
Yeah. Like we went out to dinner the other night and my husband was like, we got to get out of here. I got to get out of here.
All of us went, our two families, and I look over at Natasha's husband and he whispered to Natasha, I'm really stressed. I think we're going to leave.
I was like, you got to take one kid. You can go ahead and get out of here.
To be fair, this was at the end of the dinner.
Yeah.
We survived the dinner, but
he was like, I got to go.
Yeah, Leah was on the table, like throwing chips. And Natasha's just like talking to me. And Drew's like, look at her.
I was like, she's fine. He was like, it's a disaster zone. I'm like, welcome.
Well, I do think as moms that are with them all the time, we're just like used to the chaos. And we know that you kind of have to like hands up and just kind of ride it.
Also, when we go out to eat and my kids make a mess, I do my best to clean up. And then I leave a fat tip.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
Also, I'm wearing mascara today.
I know. What happened to your
I know.
What happened to your Hailey Bieber inspo?
Well, it was just not really the look.
Yeah, it's not the look for me.
My eyelashes are blonde at the end.
Mine too.
Like they're dark and then they get blonde. And so I think that works for maybe people who have dark eyelashes. You could just curl them and roll with it.
I think she has even darker features than we do.
For sure.
Like darker hair, darker.
Yeah. So that works for her. But I tried it. It didn't work for me. Moving on. Back to the mascara.
If I don't color in my eyebrows a little, you can't see my eyebrows. So if I color my eyebrows but then don't wear mascara, it looks weird. I look like some sort of ghost or something.
Like Julia Fox.
Yeah. It's just not the correct look. But anyway.
Yeah. How are you? You're the one that
has good
stuff going on.
I'm good. I did struggle a little dressing for the episode. Yeah. I was like, another sundress.
I know.
It's all I really feel comfy in. And I was just thinking about posting a story being like, fellow pregnant people, what are we wearing this fall? Because I just, obviously in California, I won't get that cold. But I am a little bit of a wimp when it comes to the cold. So as it starts to get chillier at night, I just don't really know what I'm going to wear. So, I mean, I don't even really fit a lot of my leggings.
Yeah.
So I want to be strategic about what I buy because I don't want to buy a ton of things that anyway, it took me a while to figure out what I was going to wear.
If you go on Poshmark or Depop or whatever and buy like a size up in leggings, that's what I do because, and especially like if you're going to be pregnant one more time maybe, or like postpartum. But I mean, if
Natasha was there during my gender reveal, she actually like orchestrated it all and knew the gender before anyone else. I was losing it, her knowing this.
Oh my God, I was losing it. I was unwell.
But at the gender reveal, I found out it was a girl. And the first thing I screamed to my husband was, I don't have to be pregnant again.
Wait, you just announced on the podcast that it's a girl.
Oh, sorry. It's a girl. And I kept telling everyone the stakes are real high because I will be super, super blessed no matter what I have. Yeah. Obviously. But I come from a girl family. I really wanted the mom-daughter dynamic I have. My mom's my best friend. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I just wanted one of both so that I just never really have to think about what if, and I never really have to try again if I don't want to. And so that's the first thing I screamed, and my husband responded, what? This is our last? And everyone was just laughing, and I was like, I mean, if you want to be pregnant.
Ugh. Yeah, I know. We're talking about number 3.
God bless.
Yeah.
My sister has 3, and she never sets foot in a restaurant. Now her oldest is 8 though. And so now they kind of do because the youngest is 3.5. And so now I would say they're in a place, but I honestly feel like there was a good 5 years where they didn't go to restaurants.
You just end up hating it. And you're like, why did we do this? And like the kids hate it.
Because you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
You can't divide and conquer anymore.
Like takeout and going to a playground or like just grilling at people's houses that have kids is just the call for a while, I feel like.
So nice sometimes, even though it was chaotic.
Yeah.
How nice to not clean or cook. So it was like.
That's why we ordered takeout again last night, because we're like, it's so nice having a clean kitchen.
It's so nice.
So, oh my God. Here's a story. So people ask about the transition from 1 to 2. Let me tell you a story. So my daughter won't eat when she's sitting down. She will not sit in the high chair at this current moment. So I'm just like, fine, whatever. We're going to just eat while you're walking around the house. So I put some snacks on the coffee table, and she's in the phase where she wants to chuck everything on the ground. She's holding on to one snack in her hand, and then she takes the rest of the snacks and she's just like throwing them. So the dog's eating off the floor, and my son comes over and starts stepping on all of the snacks on the floor. They're those pea puffs snacks, and so they're just like disintegrating. And I'm like, please don't step on the snacks, because who has to clean them up? And he's like, Mommy. So then he's running around, and he looks me in the eye and he goes, and the rage that filled my chest was like no other. Also, my husband asked me if he could play golf both days this weekend. And so I was solo, and this was like 4 hours in.
I really just have so much respect for golf widows, because my husband doesn't like to golf. And this weekend,
don't brag.
This weekend though, we spent a lot of family time together, and he was like, I think I'm going to pick up golf. I was like, no, you aren't. When I married you, I knew who you were. I knew you didn't like golf. I'm getting a divorce if you start golf. That was not part of the deal. It was not part of the deal.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, I used to think surfing was bad, and now I'm like, oh, why don't you go surfing instead? I'm using reverse psychology on him. I'm trying all these different tactics to get him to surf more instead of golf. It just takes so long.
Well, but hopefully one day though, your son will like be more, you know.
They go together a lot, so like it's fine.
And a golf club in Leah's hand too.
Oh,
then he'll go on the golf course with both of them.
I told him, why didn't you get her golf clubs for her birthday?
Yeah.
Because Keen got a set for his birthday, the plastic ones on Amazon for $20.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you're right. And he immediately went and ordered pink golf clubs. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. So yeah, the future looks good. We also have a really good system. Like if he plays for 5 hours, then he's on duty for 5 hours. So we have a good program, but it's not easy.
No. It's a long period of time.
It's a long period of time. And my daughter takes 2 naps, and my son doesn't nap anymore. And so one wants to leave the house, and that one's sleeping.
And it's always on the weekend too. Like golf is always.
Yeah, I'm like, can you play
in the
on
middle
Tuesday?
of the day? I'm like, yeah.
Use your work hours. Anyways, moving on.
Our most listened to episode was when we answered your questions. Yep. So we wanted to revisit that, and we got a lot of really good questions that you guys submitted.
And we, again, like, we'll share our experiences with you, but we want to emphasize that, like, we're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing our experiences and our education. Take it or leave it, you know, do as you see fit.
And just so you guys know, our education has always been from evidence-based institutions. Our lactation school was with UCSD, and it's a very well-known program for accredited program. And with my childbirth education, I was certified with Lamaze, which is one of the biggest childbirth organizations that's been around since the 60s. And it's all based in evidence. Anyway, I just want you to know that everything we talk about isn't just like opinions when it comes to the things that we've studied. Things like childbirth and my experience as a doula. I did my doula studies with DONA, which is the biggest doula organization. And that also is based all in evidence and studies. So we'll give you our experience, but also our information from there.
And we will never say like we know everything and we're the end all be all. We acknowledge that everybody's experience is different. And also you're the best mom for your baby, and you have to do what works for your family. So that being said, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
The first question that we got, is how to cope with pregnancy loss. And I want to start this one by saying that neither of us have had a miscarriage. We've both had chemical pregnancies, which is basically a early pregnancy loss. It's, I believe, before 5 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So like you don't get your period for a week and then your period comes.
But you still can get,
positive
test. So I was on my honeymoon and got the positive test, and we had been trying and we were so excited. Mm-hmm. And then I would say mine was just more like a slightly heavier, slightly more achy period.
Yeah.
People actually don't realize what's happening. They think they're just getting their period because it's so early.
Yeah.
And so obviously haven't had an ultrasound or any of those things. So it's still pregnancy loss, but it's, the very beginning.
And it's sad, but also as time goes on, right, it's harder and harder to process.
It's cool to know what it is, though, because when it happened to me, I didn't know what it was. And so I called my mom and she was like, you're having a chemical pregnancy. And I was like, huh?
So the one that I had, it was an accident. My son had just turned 1 and I was like, oh. I was not trying. And then my period was like 2 days late and I took a test and there was a very faint line. And I was like, huh. And then the next day in the afternoon, I started spotting and stuff, and then a full on the next day. And I was like, okay, I think it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a mind trip.
Yeah.
It's still, weird.
Well, and then you're like, did I want that?
Yeah.
Because, I wanted more kids, but I was like, well, do I want to try now? And then I was like, I don't want to try. I'm not ready. And this was like a wake-up call. Be more careful.
Right.
So that's chemical pregnancy.
I reached out to my sister because she's dealt with lots of traumatic pregnancy loss. She underwent a bunch of uterine surgeries, had multiple miscarriages. It was really difficult because me and my other sister had not experienced anything like that before. And I am her younger sister by 5 years, and I had a normal pregnancy before she could have one. And what she says a lot is that everyone will be the first to tell you miscarriage is so common. Mm-hmm. Miscarriage is so common. But it's not common to have repetitive miscarriages. And sometimes no one in your direct circle has had them. Mm-hmm. So it feels really, really isolating, and it feels like no one can understand what I'm going through. How do I have to walk through life every day feeling this way? What really helped her is to find and seek out people who have been through it and to talk about it, because the more you talk about it and widen your circle with who you're talking about, you will find people who are experiencing that. And she found online support groups specifically on Facebook, started joining Zooms, and miscarriage support therapists would join and talk to groups of women that were going through the same thing. And she found that really, really helpful. Also, she said giving yourself space and time after, whether that's asking for leave from work or letting your friends and family know that you need space. A lot of people just think it's so common, like get up, drink your coffee, live your day. But it is a really traumatizing experience, and you do need space to grieve and feel everything you're feeling. The last thing was finding other online communities like podcasts that were really helpful for her. She really liked a podcast called Miscarriage Hope Desk. So I highly suggest that, and we can link them out at the end of the episode.
And everybody handles it differently. And I think that as someone who hasn't been through it but has had friends going through it, you have to just ask the person going through it how you can support them. People say, oh, it's so common. Oh, I'm here for you, whatever. But some people will want to be left alone. Some people will want you to check up on them. Some people want to just treat them normally. Some people are like, what, how could you possibly be treating me normally? So it's really hard to navigate. So I just think communicating with that person and acknowledging that there's nothing that you can say to make it better, but that you're there for them is all you can really do. And try not to get your feelings hurt, because it's not about you. It's about the person going through it.
Also, don't lead with, it's so common.
People hate hearing that. Like, they know.
Yeah. We all know the stats.
But nobody wants to hear it. That doesn't make anyone feel better. And if you're going through it, I'm sorry.
Yeah. How can we support you?
Yeah.
And if you have any other tips, feel free to send them in.
Yeah, we'd love to share with the community.
Next one.
The next question was, how do you go about prepping for no epidural?
Buckle up.
The answer is that there's no way to prepare for the pain that is childbirth without pain meds.
I don't think anyone prepared more than me. I mean, let me tell you, my mom was a childbirth educator for 25 years, had her own private practice. I had attended my sister's birth. I was a doula. I was a certified childbirth educator. Went in so confident and still was like, what just happened to me?
You literally said to your mom, you lied to me.
I said, you lied to me. It's indescribable. And I think if someone had told me this is going to be the worst pain you've ever felt, but it's also super empowering. I'm a childbirth educator, and I hate when people say your body knows what to do. Oh, you were made for this.
Don't even get me started.
And I just think yes and no. I think childbirth is a super mental game, and people don't talk about that. But if you know to expect crazy pain and you know mentally how you can cope with that, I think that's the best way to approach it.
So take a childbirth class. I thought I was getting the epidural. I did not. I was not prepared. I knew nothing. And when you get to the point where you're like, I can't do this, you're almost there. And I think majority of people feel that way.
Most people start to express feelings like they want to give up during transition, which is during that final stage before pushing. To answer the question, how do you go about prepping for it? I do think taking a birth class is helpful just because knowledge is power. Knowing about the stages and phases of labor, which we did an episode on, just so you know how labor progresses and what to expect, the duration of each phase. And then obviously coping mechanisms, knowing movement, knowing positions for both of us, hands and knees really was helpful, and side lying, all of those things that relieve pressure, open the pelvis in different ways. Knowing your body and how it works is really helpful, but then also preparing for the possibility of that birth plan not working. I had a out of hospital birth, but I had a in case of hospital birth plan, and I felt like I was mentally prepared for all of the things that were on that birth plan, and it really helped me. Obviously, things didn't go sideways, but if they had, I would hope maybe that would have helped a little bit, because I had, in case of a cesarean, here's my preferences. In case of this, here's my preferences. And I had it in my head, these things might happen, even though I've prepped a lot. And so I think that writing your ideal birth is important, but then writing a plan of, okay, if things don't go the way that is my ideal birth, I'll still be okay with it because here are my preferences for that, is very helpful.
We talk about mindset a lot. And again, a lot of it is just mindset. Like you said, not just knowing, okay, if things go sideways, I might, if you don't want an epidural, get an epidural. I might end up having to have a C-section, XYZ, but just setting yourself up to know these are possibilities, and then you won't be as disappointed if they do go sideways. As far as pain management and setting yourself up for that, have you ever heard of I'm sure you have, the TENS machine? Did you use it?
I didn't.
Okay. I've heard great things about that. Yeah. A lot of people like a comb.
Anything. Yeah.
Because when you squeeze something like that has a little bit of pain, it takes the pain away from other areas. I didn't know that I was not getting the epidural, so I was not prepared.
Water, if that's an option. It is an option usually in early labor, at least. You know, you can get in your shower, get in your tub. It's a big distraction with the senses. It really helped me. I happen to have a tub.
Like shower or tub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even hot and cold compresses can help too. Anything that is sensory that's taking away from the other things. In terms of mindset, for me, I went into it thinking, okay, there's a difference between pain and something being wrong. So if I know baby is okay, my midwives are telling me baby's okay, OB is telling me that I'm okay, but I'm in a lot of pain, I can do that. So for me, every time my midwife would come up and be like, everything sounds great, you're doing amazing, I would be like, okay, this is a normal pain. This is a pain that is bringing my baby closer to me. I really liked that mindset. It really helped me because I was like, okay, this pain is normal. Something's not wrong.
Right. Because when you're in that much pain, you're like, something must be wrong.
Oh, I asked my midwife so much. I was like, this is normal.
And when they're like, yep, this is normal, you're like, okay, well, at least I'm not dying.
Yeah.
Like actually, because I'm dying from the pain, but like, I'm not actually going to die. Something's not wrong.
Yes. It's important because it's important to know that the pain you are feeling is your baby. It's your baby coming to you.
Yeah.
So it does help with the mindset. Mm-hmm. We'll do a slide on specific comfort measures. Yeah. I could talk about it forever, but positioning is super important. Movement is really important. Movement is proven through studies to help progress labor. So if your plan is to do no epidural, move as much as possible.
Yeah. As far as like preparing while you're pregnant for no epidural, I think just like education and learning about all of the potential pain management tips, a doula.
Yeah, finding a birth team that is down for that. We talk about shopping around for OBs, mm-hmm. shop around for doulas. Yeah. You have to really get along with them. You have to know that they agree with your ideal birth plan versus the birth plan that might happen. Mm-hmm. They have to be in total agreement because you are their boss. Mm-hmm. And people forget that.
You are in charge.
Interview them, get to know them, shop around. Those are big.
Totally. Not that I had one, but if I have a third, I'm getting one.
I don't think you're going to have time for that. I'll come over. Natasha asked if I'd be her doula, and I said no. Fun fact.
I mean, if Taylor was my doula, I probably would have accidentally had a home birth. She would have been like, ooh, things are happening. You want to have this baby at home?
Anyway,
you might have delivered my baby.
I might have. Might have. The other question we got about this was pain management for no epidural. So we kind of talked about that. But if I was going to say the top ones that helped me, water immersion, whether that's shower, bath, cold or hot compresses, anything like that, and movement. Mm-hmm. This is crazy to talk about. And I know that this stuff is real, trust me, because I'm in this space, but to see it happen in my own body was insane. I was on my hands and knees and baby was stuck, and my midwife, we kicked everyone out of the room, and the midwife was like, I know it's really hard for you to move right now, but you really got to put your right leg in a deep lunge with one in front of the other. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. It took me a while and I did it, and I felt his head go,
oh my God.
It just popped out.
Oh my God.
Movement is so crazy, and it makes sense because you make these little tweaks with your body and it just releases, it opens things. I mean, it's crazy.
And this is evidence-based, but I believe in it so much that if we were in different positions, it would be faster and there would be less tearing.
Yeah, less pain.
When your knees are open really wide on your back, your sacrum can't move. There's only so much tension that all of the tissue can stretch.
What's a bummer too is I was just talking to a friend about this, one of our mutual friends here who just gave birth a few months ago at a hospital, and she was like, my OB was so amazing. He was stuck and he moved me into all these crazy acrobatic positions and baby popped out. And she was like, but the crazy thing is it matters what nurse you get on shift, because if you get a nurse who knows all the cool positions and stuff, then it's going to make a huge difference. And someone might come in and just not know about the movement piece of it and just kind of tell you to lay on your back. And like that really can make or break your experience.
Yeah. But knowing that you have
advocating.
Advocating and saying like, oh, I don't want to be on my back. When I was in active labor and in transition and they were like, get on your back, I was like, ha. Not because I knew that was a bad position, but because I physically could not be on my back because it was so horrifically painful.
Even if you do end up getting the epidural, I know this question was specifically about not getting one, but we did get a question along with it, top tricks for an epidural. It's still movement. You might be more restricted to the bed because you have an IV, you have all these different things, probably a EFM, electronic fetal monitor, but you still can get into those positions.
Totally. When
100%.
I had, with my first, I had epidural so heavy that I could not even feel a leg at all. I couldn't feel anything. Zero pain. And they got me in hands and knees. They had me moving around because my son was sunny side up. And my nurses were incredible. And they were like, can you feel anything? And I was like, nope, sure can't. And they were like, all right, well, we think that we can flip you. And if we do that, then the baby will flip. And I was in hands and knees and I couldn't feel my legs.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah. Ask your team if they can make sure to have a peanut ball or anything like that on hand. And if not, bring one. They're super cheap on Amazon because that's an epidural's best friend. It's proven through studies to really help because all you have to do is side lie, put one leg over the peanut ball, and then they just rotate you. It's a little hot dog on a stick. Or else the epidural goes to one side and I've heard crazy stories about that.
But the thing with the epidural, it doesn't mean that you can't move at all. You can.
You can.
It's harder and it's probably more work for your team.
Yeah.
But also,
that's where advocating comes into place. Is I do suggest you YouTube random birth videos because I did that and I show them. Yeah, and I show them when I was teaching childbirth classes because looking up birth without an epidural and what it sounds like and what to expect, because it's not like this. Ah! It's not like that.
No,
it's not. You get very animalistic, low pitched moans like literally
mooing.
Literally.
When I tell you, you sound like an angry cow. That's what you sound like.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is a lot of doulas, nurses, OBs, midwives can tell just by the sound, the pitch, the length of like a woman's sounds during labor, where they are in labor.
Makes sense.
It's really cool.
The next question is when to start the epidural. Personal preference.
It depends what your goal is, though. Obviously, you should start whenever you feel like you need to start it. But if your preference is to wait as long as you can, then number one is usually just like making sure you don't go to the hospital too early.
Yeah.
If it's your first baby.
Yeah. You're going to be sitting in the hospital. But again, if you're like, I don't want to feel any pain, there's a spectrum of what people want. So it's really just personal preference. I know people who are like, you know, I started having a contraction, went to the hospital. I was 3 centimeters dilated. I was like, get me the epidural, took a nap, you know, had some food at the end. And that's totally fine. Do whatever you want.
So exactly. It depends what your goal is.
Yeah. Or like what your preferences are.
Like if you don't want to feel anything, it's going to be sooner. But I know a lot of people, even OBs, will suggest you wait until active labor because getting it done in early labor, your cervix isn't even open fully yet.
Right. If you go to the hospital with your first baby and you're having contractions like, you know, 5 to 7 minutes apart and you're like 3 centimeters dilated, they're probably going to tell you to go take a walk or go have lunch. Yeah. They're probably not going to admit you because it's just not time. And if you can walk and talk through your contractions, they're going to be like, kick rocks for a little bit. Yeah. Come back to me when you can't walk or talk through your contractions anymore. If your water breaks and you have to be monitored in the hospital, that's a different story. But yeah.
This is such a personal preference one.
Yeah. So my first birth, I was induced, had Pitocin, the whole 9 yards. And I think I got it at like 5 centimeters because once I started feeling real pain, I was like, I know I want the epidural. Yeah. And I had heard horror stories of people not being able to get the anesthesiologist because they have a backlog or something, or they can't get to you in time, whatever. And I was like, just get them over here. Let's just get it done. Funny enough, that happened to me the second time. So it really just depends.
Well, it also depends, to your point, on if you're getting induced for a medical reason or if you're opting to get induced, because Pitocin without an epidural is just extremely, extremely difficult. It's very rare for anyone to be able to manage that because it is just super hard. Pitocin makes your contractions way stronger, way more intense, closer together. It's just really hard to manage.
There's just no break. That was my experience. Everyone's different. Like it's not saying it's impossible, but typically Pitocin makes it so that there's less break between contractions, which makes it harder to manage. So yeah, I was like, get me the epidural. Next question is, at what point do you give up and opt for a C-section? This one I would assume is when you're pushing for a long time. Do you think that's what the question is asking?
I don't know. I don't like the term give up, but I think this one comes down to a lot of different things. I think that approaching this answer, what I would say is just know the main causes for cesareans, not elective cesareans and breech complications, stuff like that. I mean, reasons why they might do an emergency cesarean or one that's unplanned. And usually that is either fetal distress, which you as the birthing person don't have control over. That's just the way things are going in labor, in which case that's the OB's call. Another big one is failure to progress. So this is one that you do have control over sometimes, because if you know that one of the lead causes of cesareans that are unplanned is failure to progress, then you can go in knowing what helps labor progress. It's movement. It's all these different things. So if you're getting to a point where you're like, oof, my birth plan might be changing. This is looking like maybe it's not going to be a vaginal birth. Have I tried all of those different things? If you have and it's still not progressing, that's when I think would be when you, quote unquote, how you worded it, give up. But I still don't like that term. I think that's when you succumb to the fact that your birth plan is shifting, and prepare for that before you go into birth.
Something to ask your team about if you end up getting in that situation is, what is the risk of waiting and just giving it more time? And I think that's the BRAIN acronym, right?
Yes, is one of the best things you can ask in birth is like, what are the benefits to doing this? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? Trusting your intuition. And what happens if we don't do this? What happens if we never do this?
Right. So a lot of times in hospital, at the 3-hour mark, your OB is going to be like, all right, you've been pushing for 3 hours. Let's talk about cesarean.
That would have happened to me.
Yeah. I know people who have pushed for 5 hours and had a vaginal birth because they were like, the baby wasn't in distress. The mom wasn't in distress. There was nothing, quote unquote, wrong, but failure to progress. Sometimes it just takes longer, but you have the right to ask your care team, what are the benefits to doing a cesarean right now? What are the risks? I don't think a C-section is giving up. C-sections are gnarly. They remove all of your internal organs to get the baby out. That is not ever giving up. That is a really hard choice to make. So it just depends on the situation that you're in. And that's something for you to make with your care team.
Natasha posted a story the other day about how her daughter turned 1 and she's weaning. So this is a question for Natasha. It says, curious about weaning at 1 year. What made you decide to stop at around 1 year? Is it as scary as it seems, taking it away from your baby, or not that hard?
You guys, it's not working. It's a nightmare. It's really hard. It's not happening. I'm convinced that weaning is a fake thing. Like, I'm convinced everyone is still breastfeeding. It's not going well. Let me just tell you that. My daughter has a lot of opinions, and she won't go to sleep unless I nurse her first, and I don't know what to do. So that's the update on that. Tips and tricks, I got none. If you have any, let me know. Okay, so my son took a bottle. So I always did bottles. I breastfed and bottles, blah, blah, blah.
He also liked food.
He also loved food. So when I was weaning him, I just replaced breastfeeding feeds with bottles. And it was literally 0% a problem. Maybe like a little bit. Sometimes he would want a nurse instead of a bottle. And I would just have my husband give a bottle and I would leave the house and it was fine. He also just had an easier temperament. He was just really jolly and happy. He loved food. Like, I knew he was getting enough food. He was humongous. So that was a non-issue. My daughter is smaller. She doesn't love food. She's never taken a bottle. So I can't replace the feed with anything, which for me mentally is hard because I'm like, well, is she hungry? You know, she's used to nursing before I put her to sleep. So mentally it's really hard for me to be like, no, you just can't have it anymore. Yeah. Because 1, I'm like, well, maybe she's hungry. And 2, she's screaming at me. So yeah, it's not working. So right around 11 and a half months, maybe 11 months, I cut off on-demand nursing because I was just like, this is no longer working for me. She was nursing like 100 times a day. So I was like, we're done with that. You can nurse when you wake up, before sleep. It was still like 6 times a day, like once overnight. But I was done nursing on demand. So I cut that off. And now we're down to like, I don't know, between, I would say 4 and 6 times a day. Yeah, I don't know how I'm ever going to stop from there. So like I said, if you got tips, let me know. The other thing that the person asked is, why did I decide to stop? Because I want to be done. Part of me is like, oh, I should just keep going. And the other part of me is like, I'm good. I feel ready to be done. Yeah. I want to have my nipples back to myself. I would like to be able to leave my house for more than 3 hours at a time.
I feel like since she likes it before bed, it's hard to have anyone else put her down.
Oh yeah. No one else has ever put her down before. Not another soul. My husband, nobody. So yeah, I'm ready to just hard. Like be off the leash a little bit. I want to be free.
Totally. I breastfed my son until 20 months and I want to say the last final months, it was down to like, well, first it was, I gradually kept dropping and it was like 2 a day. So it was just in the morning and at night. And I was like, this is so doable. And then I stopped and did 1 a day.
Yeah.
And it was just in the morning when he woke up, he would come into bed with me. And that was hard for me to drop because it was like, I barely noticed it because it was morning. So it was like everyone else could put him down for naps and for nighttime and all this stuff. And I was always home anyway in the morning. So I was like,
why not?
Yeah, it just was so easy. And then when I finally got to that point, because you do reach a point where you're just like, okay,
like I'm done.
Yeah. And like at that point he was eating so much food too. So I was like, this isn't for nutrients. It still is so beneficial.
Of course.
So beneficial. And
it's cozy.
It's cozy.
And it's sweet.
But it's also super good for you too, because it has antibodies, all the stuff. So props to all the moms who go until like 2 years plus. Like I salute you. That was my mom. I have not been able to do that. Who knows if I will for this next child. But I will say when it was down to 1 feed a day, I was like, maybe I could do it.
Like forever. Yeah.
But then I got over it anyway. I would just have my husband go into the room in the morning, read him a book or whatever, and it was fine. I will say it was such a gradual wean that I feel like that's the only way.
Okay. Here's my question. You say we dropped a feed. Like, that sounds so easy, but like, what? What do you mean you dropped a feed? Like,
so right now,
what did you do instead?
I really leaned on my husband. So for example, like right now, when your daughter wakes up before it's time to feed in the morning, I would have him go in.
Oh, like if she woke up at like 3.
Yeah.
You would be like, go ahead.
I dropped the ones that were the hardest for me.
Okay.
And for other people, it's different. But for me, I just was super over getting up at random times. Yep. So that was the first one where I was like, deal breaker, I'm not going in. As long as my baby's getting comforted, I know they're fine. Yeah. I know it's not about calories.
Right.
So that's the first one I dropped.
For sure not about calories.
Yeah. My son is large. We've that's established.
You've seen the baby pics if you follow us on social media. Yeah.
But it's hard. Different babies are motivated by different things.
The thing with my daughter is like she is just starting to come around to my husband. Yeah. So like if I sent him in, I've sent him in before, and she is so pissed that I end up having to go in anyway. So I just am like, fuck it, I'll just go in.
It's so funny though, because like this stuff becomes a thing to talk about even without breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten myself into a pickle where only I can put my son down. My husband cannot. I was like, I really want to keep watching Jason Momoa on Chief of War. You can go put Kelly down and read to him. I hear from the room, no, go away, Dada. Mama sleep. Dada, go away.
Oh my God.
Literally shooing.
Stop.
Shooing him out.
Stop.
I'm like, I gotta go in.
Right.
Because it was happening for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Like he needs his mommy.
Like at a certain point, you're just like, fine. Okay, but then like I'm telling my mom this stuff and she's like, who's in charge? You or your kids? And I'm like, well...
My kids,
but also like, yeah, I am in charge. And then they're crying and I'm like, I'm not in charge. It's so hard.
Because you just want to be the best mom.
Yeah.
And when you breastfeed until the point where they're becoming toddlers, they can be more expressive about it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to deny them things that they're like expressing to you that they want for like love and comfort.
Oh my God.
It's like really difficult. Even though you know it's like what's best for you, it gets, I think, harder.
It's really hard to deny them. My daughter just started signing more and I literally nurse her. And in the middle of the night, if she wakes up, I try to just nurse on one side so it's not like a full feed. So she doesn't get used to taking a bunch of milk. And I'll nurse her on one side and then she's just like sitting there looking at me, signing more in the dark. And I'm just like, all right. See, you like know? It's so brutal.
We're softies, obviously.
I've gotten soft, though. I used to not be soft. I used to be
Natasha will text me and be like, I'm over it. My nipples are bleeding. That's it. This is the last time. And then the day after, I'm like, so what did you do? She's like, the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing I always do. I gave in. So the other night, like, I was like, I'm not nursing. I'm done. I nursed her. And then I was like, then we're going to do the bedtime routine. And then I'm going to put her down. And she's signing more. And I'm like, no, you can go to bed. I'm rocking her. She's hitting me. She's screaming at me. I'm like, it's okay. Like, this is going to end, right? I'm like, I just have to stay strong. Anyways, I gave up. I nursed her and she bit me out of spite so hard that my nipple started bleeding and it hurts. And that's where we're at because I'm soft. I've gotten soft. I used to have strong will and I've just been beaten down by motherhood. And my children are now in charge.
And that is the answer to that.
Yeah.
Like, as lactation educators, we're still like, good luck with weaning because.
So some tips that my friends have told me have worked for them. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I am not nursing you around in public. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not carrying around a shawl to cover up, not doing it. So I'm like, here's a snack. You can have water. We're out. I can distract her with other things. Yeah. That's how I started. So then I got down to just before nap or when she wakes up from a nap feeds, which was fine with me for a while. And now I'm like, I'm ready to move on. Wear a shirt that they can't just pull up or pull off or whatever. Limit the access. Be out and about a lot so you can distract them.
I know people who put Band-Aids on their nipples and say like, mama has a boo-boo. Like, and it works really well.
Really?
Because the baby... Well, it depends how old they are.
Yeah.
But if it's a toddler, that works well because they're like, oh my gosh, mama has like a boo-boo. I'm not going to touch her there.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I've never heard that before.
It depends, again, how food motivated your kid is, right? But you still should try it because it is a number one trick. So for me, with my son, I knew he loved banana muffins. So that was my gateway.
Yeah.
Anytime he woke up and I was trying to drop a feed and that was a feed time, I would wake him up and bring in a banana muffin and be like, banana muffin. And he would not even try to look at my boobs.
Oh my God, amazing.
So definitely try those tricks that sometimes could be super helpful for you.
Yeah, try everything. It's a lot of trial and error, I think. I'm doing a lot of error right now, but hopefully more trial will give me.
And then obviously not everyone can do it super gradually if it's because you're going back to work, but you should still be cognizant in the fact that you should try to do it as gradually as possible for your own boobs as well, because you don't want to get mastitis from not releasing enough milk. So just make sure you're coming up with a schedule that is gentle on your body because it takes a lot to wean and it also can be really emotional. I know for me, my hormonal drop after weaning was way bigger than my drop postpartum. So I just want to make sure people know that, you know, that can happen and to make sure the people around you know that you're weaning and going through that because it's hard and it's not spoken about nearly as much as postpartum stuff.
I had a really tough time emotionally weaning my son, not just because I was like sad to wean him because I was actually happy to wean him, but just like the hormonal changes. Also, for me, I didn't get my period back until after I weaned. So it was like weaning and then getting my cycle back all at once was really intense. So yeah, just knowing that it can be really tough. So wrapping it up.
I love all these different questions because it's just cool that we're all going through the same things and trying to navigate it. Hopefully our experience and our training is helpful, but also knowing that we're figuring it out too. And like we have read the books on weaning and it's still difficult. And same thing with me prepping for birth as a childbirth educator. I still was blown away at how insane it was. So knowledge is power, but you're still going to be swept off your feet.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do to prepare. Like so much of, I think starting even at pregnancy, like you can't prepare for much. It's really just learning on the job and figuring it out as you go, trial and error. I think like the anticipation of almost everything, at least for me, someone who suffers from anxiety, is the worst part. And then when you're in it, you're like, all right, well, we're here. We got to figure it out. Maybe you can take comfort in the fact that I think that the anticipation is the hardest part. Well, I don't know.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
I keep saying that, but I went to a comedy show the other night and I just think this comedian's so funny. And he talks about the YouTube algorithm and how like spot on it is. And when you log on to YouTube and sit down, he's like, buckle up. He's like, I was looking at horse training episodes for like 4 hours. He's like, why? I don't know. I don't care about horse trainer.
You really get sucked in. But call out on that and like the motherhood stuff, because there's so much motherhood content out there. It's like, if you ever are like, oh my God, why am I getting served all of this like, negative or scary stuff? Like maybe look at cat videos for a while or something happy to fix up your algorithm, because it really doesn't all have to be all encompassing with bad things and bad thoughts and dark clouds. So we try to be positive and also real, but it can get scary in the rabbit hole. So just, You know that. Okay. Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening. Keep submitting questions. We have more to answer, so we'll do another follow-up episode with all the other questions and answer some on our stories.
Part 2 coming up next.
Part 2. Thanks everyone.
Thanks. Bye.